Hello, everybody. Hi. My face is so large. Um, Sorry for that. Let's get off that. Great. Hi. Thanks for having me. Um, I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart with you guys tonight, which is worst practices. We are all. I just saw a child in the front row, so I will try to curb my cursing now. I'm so sorry in advance. You knew what you were getting into. Um, Worst practices. We are really good in the particularly marketing industry, design industry, about being really good at things. And we get so good at things that often we lose track of the fact that there's real joy and exuberance in sometimes being really, really stupid. And that can lead to really wonderful things. And I would say there's really no worse practice than naming your water company Liquid Death and putting a big drippy skull on it, right? Um, and here, the presentation is already off the rails because this is usually when I ask, how many people have heard of Liquid Death? But unfortunately, the hospitality of the event has ruined that, and everyone here clearly knows Liquid Death. But when I ask that question, the reason why I ask it is because when I started about 3.5 years ago, we would get on calls with people, and we would have to explain who we were and what we were all about, and we would literally get people to our faces saying, "No one is ever going to drink water out of a can. That is a stupid idea." Um, so I joined about 2021. The brand was first available back in 2019, so we've been around 5 years. And in that time, uh, earlier this year, we were valued at $1.54 billion in 5 years' time. We've been named Brand of the Year. We were LinkedIn's startup number two startup of last year, in all that time. So we're pretty good at marketing. I would say we're doing a pretty good job about it. But this is what our website. If you go to our about section, this is all that's there. Which is we're just a funny beverage company who hates corporate marketing as much as you do. Our evil mission is to make people laugh and get more of them to drink more healthy beverages more often, all while helping to kill plastic pollution. And I think the important part of that is who hates corporate marketing as much as you do. Oh, all right. Right? Um, uh, yeah, but I do think that that's the honesty behind what we're doing that people really connect with, right? Um, and we're not the only ones who think this. Advertising executives are the number 7 on the bottom of the least respected jobs in America. Sorry for any students who are looking to go into this. So the point is marketing sucks. And because if you ask people, I think it's like, would you like to see ads for the rest of your life or no ads for the rest of your life? I think 99.9% of people are going to say no ads, right? But sometimes in our industry, we think it's so important, and we don't think about the end person that's ever seeing this. We think about what we want from them, but not about what they want from us. And I was talking about, it's a very extractive practice, unfortunately. Um, so, and some of you who are designers, design students, you're like, but I'm a designer, I'm not marketing. Marketing is, design is used for marketing, and marketing sucks. So design doesn't suck per se, but it's used for something that sucks. So that kind of sucks too. So everyone is implicated in this room, is the point. And Liquid Death was started by a designer, actually. This guy, Mike Cesario, he was a designer, advertising creative, and kind of fell into it just through love of design. He was in bands, was skating, and he just kind of ended up getting into design through um, being the guy in the band who was always designing the band posters and stuff like that. And I think Mike, as he got into the ad industry, he got really frustrated by a lot of the things that he saw that were going on. Um, and also, Mike was very smart because he made a simple observation, which was that all the brands that are the worst for us are the ones that are having the most fun, right? So, alcohol has hilarious ads in the Super Bowl, and energy drinks have the most intense, sponsoring UFC, and candy bars and all these things, right? That aren't good for us are having more fun than anybody else. Meanwhile, like health food is just like shit. It's like I always pick on salad power because I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Veggies and mango, not two things that I want to eat together. Um, right? So it doesn't stand a chance against the stuff we just saw on that other slide, right? So the idea was we had to create a brand that was a healthy brand that was so compelling and so seemingly unhealthy that it would trick people into being healthy for a change, right? Um, and part of that was to make a brand that was so extreme that it was a parody of all those other brands that we saw, right? So even our tagline, "Murder Your Thirst," is a sort of satire of like what an energy drink brand could be telling you, right? It's so stupid. Um, so the idea was let's create a like funny bottled water brand, right? So this is what bottled water looks like. And what do you guys notice about bottled water? Yeah. It's also it's natural, right? It's all these settings, it's talking about the source, it's talking about purity. So basically, since bottled water has been invented, it's all about the purity of the source. In order to know that, you have to see it. In order to see it, it has to be in a clear container like glass or most often plastic, right? Um, and then fast forward to now, what's happening by 2050, ocean plastics will outweigh fish pound per pound in our ocean. And 20,000 new plastic bottles are created every single second. This is the depressing part of my presentation. Because only 5% of plastics are actually recycled. It's not profitable to do that. It's difficult. It's not profitable. So most of them just end up in landfills and ultimately a lot of them in oceans as well. Um, so coming back to our great slide of all this great advertising, um, what is who's to blame for this, right? It's marketing. It's the fact that there was a marketing strategy that for literally decades, no one had bothered to question, what if we just packaged this thing differently? Because it had always been marketed about the purity of the water, right? And no one had bothered to try to do something different. So that's really what we took on, and that's part of our Death to Plastic mission. We are trying to replace single-use plastic bottles with infinitely recyclable cans, and we also donate a portion of our profits to NGOs who are helping to clean up ocean plastics and provide clean drinking water. So that's part of what we're doing. So again, looking at the category, this is sort of what it looks like, and then we come in with this. And it's very funny to me because a lot of people are like, "You're crazy to call something liquid death and put it in this can," right? I would argue you'd be crazy to enter a category and look exactly like everything else in that category, right? It is so hard to to make particularly a consumer packaged good that's successful. So to come in and just replicate that same success that everyone was like, "This is how you make a water company," right? I would argue that's way more insane than calling something liquid death. And I also have this theory that liquid death is really, I was telling someone this earlier tonight, is really one of the first viral consumer packaged goods because inherently the name, the packaging, all of it, when you see it, it's really arresting. And we see every time people get in their first contact with it, they're like, "What is this? I thought this was beer, this isn't water." A lot of early in our growth, people are just finding it on the shelves or finding it at a music festival, and they're just posting it to their Instagram account, right? Just because they were so amazed by it. We also get stuff like this.
It says, once cracked open, no thirst is safe from liquid death. After After ritually dismembering its thirst victims, this brutal can of water used the severed body parts of dead thirsts to build itself a flesh suit, which it used as a disguise to get a job in marketing. The liquid death never took the job. It just murdered a bunch more thirsts instead. What is this?
Exactly. What is that? Right? That's the side of a can, by the way, if you read it, for those that didn't pick up the Stillwater tonight. But but the point is, we're not just making marketing. We're doing this thing that I've since coined like 3D comedy, right? We have this brand, but we have a packaging, but we have access to all these other things. We have all these touch points that we can bring humor and satire into the world. And in saying it in another way, we like to say we want to be the best thing that someone sees that day. So anything that we put out in the world, We just want to be the best thing that someone sees that day, which is a really simple goal, and it's a really high bar to jump over, right? There's so many, I mean, you guys know, you scroll through your feed, there's so many ridiculous, insane things out there. But that's the goal that we start with every single day. Anything we put out has to be the best thing that we think someone's going to see that day. And as the head of creative, I really see that there's 3 products that we have, right? And all a product is, it's something that is exchanged for value, right? You can buy something with money, but you can buy something with your time and attention, or a like, or a share, or a follow. So obviously we have the great beverages we make. We have a bunch of crazy merch that's amazing too. But then I really have to think of the the marketing itself as a product. Is this thing so good that someone would be willing to buy it? And again, buying can be done in a lot of different ways, right? It's just exchanging value. Um, and I don't think a lot of marketers think of it that way, right? Where again, it's a very extractive thing. But what if we make something that's so good that people want to engage with it? They look forward to it. I was talking to someone earlier. They were like, a student or a former student that was like, I get excited when I see an email from you guys in my inbox because I don't know what's going to be in that email, which is a crazy thing to be excited about an email from a brand, right? But that's so cool. So, really, what this all necessitates is this idea of thinking wrong. Because going back to that slide of all those bottled water, what it looks like, if we are trying to replicate success, all we're doing is we're just treading those same paths that people have already done before, because you said that was successful. How can we do a version of that? What's the best practice for us to get us there? If we flip that and we start thinking, what is the absolute wrong thing to do? If we can entertain ideas that are truly and genuinely dumb, you're starting from a place that no one has bothered to start from before. You're starting from somewhere that is so stupid you would never consider it. But we start there with a lot of the stuff we do, and then we try to make it make sense. And that's actually, what when we're working in our creative process, a lot of times we're asking ourselves, what's the dumbest thing we can do? We're literally we'll be like, all right, if we get stuck, we're like, what's actually the dumbest thing we can do? And then someone will say something, and we're like, nah, that's the dumbest thing we could do. But then how do you make that really into a compelling argument? How do you make that make sense, right? So to take a step back, this isn't a new thing for me doing dumb things. This was me in 2007. I was also at a art school. I was at a school called the Creative Circus in Atlanta. That was a advertising, art direction, writing, design school. And I like doing a lot of dumb stuff there. When I was there, do people know what the Cannes Lions are? Most people do. Yeah. So, they have a competition for students that they give out. It's Cannes is kind of one of the biggest is the biggest advertising festival in the world. They have one they give out for students. They give out 5 of these future lions every year to students, and I was lucky enough to win one of them. Another team at our school won them as well. So 2 out of the 5 in the world were from our school that year. Um, but we got this email that was like, "Hey, congrats, you won." And they followed up with the email. They're like, "Hey, just wondering if you're gonna come to Cannes next week to pick these up in person or what?" And I quickly Google Cannes, and I'm like, "Cannes is in France?" This is like I had no idea at the time. We just applied to a bunch of competitions and we're like, "Oh no, we won this thing in France." So we we kind of calculated it all, and we're like, between airfare, 6 grand for the 4 of us, hotel for the week in like the French Riviera, food, all this stuff. We needed $10,000 literally tomorrow to go to France for this thing. And so we're like, how are we gonna raise that money? And for some reason, I was just thinking about like 80s movies where they like have to raise money to save the frat. So I was like, we'll throw a kegger. And I was like, that's never worked out for me. And I was like, we'll do a car wash. And I was like, I don't think I have the body for that. And then lastly, I was like, what if we had a bake sale? And I was like, what if we just sold cookies for $500 a piece? And then we only have to sell like 20 cookies. So we did that. We overnight made a website, which was difficult at the time, called Cookie for Can, and we sold. This is the only surviving photo, which is why it's so terrible. Um, if you squint, it looks better, I think. But yeah, so we sold we sold cookies for $500. We like put this website up overnight. We blasted it out to everyone that we could possibly steal an email address out of, and it didn't work. And then then the next day, following day, we got the woman running the school ran down. She's like, "Oh my God, Leo Burnett is on the phone," which is an ad agency that's based in Chicago, and they're like, they want to buy a dozen cookies. Um, and then like and then another agency called, they're like, "Hey, we wanna buy 2 cookies." And then other people called, and they bought pieces of cookies, and we literally raised the $10,000 in about 24 hours. And that was my first ad that I made that had ever worked. Which is really incredible. So we got to go, pick up our awards in person just like they asked us to. And that sits on my desk, and that's my little Future Line award, and it's my favorite thing I've won because it is such a dumb idea that got us there. The thing we won for was fine, but I love the story of how we came up with this really stupid idea to get there, right? And so I've been lucky enough to continue to make really stupid ideas throughout my career, and now I get to do that Liquid Death. I run our whole internal creative team, which is a very small group of people. I run a production team. We do everything soup to nuts, from making the ideas, writing the ideas. We produce it all ourselves. I direct a lot of almost all the work myself now. We just do it all because we like making the stuff ourselves, which is a really cool place to be in. Um, so in honor of all these stupid things that we've done, I want to give you guys some ammo. And here's a list of probably incomplete list of some worst practices that we like to do, since lists are helpful. Starting off with one, this is a real doozy for all the designers here. We have 2 logos. We just have 2 logos that we use willy-nilly whenever we feel like it. It is against any sensible thing that any branding person would ever tell you. So that's all I have to say about that. Our next one is, make entertainment, not marketing. This really goes back to what we say. We don't want to make marketing. The world doesn't need more marketing. The world needs more laughs. And so, again, that's sort of the filter we always put over work is, can we bring real joy to people? Can we make them laugh? Can we bring something they didn't expect? And so to that, this is a super small snapshot of things, but we punked the Super Bowl 3 years ago. We've made music videos. We did a documentary about a guy who fell out of had a skydiving accident and woke up in a coma with his jaw wired shut and was just writing Liquid Death over and over on a piece of paper. He was thirsty, but the nurses thought he was brain dead. We've created a country club that you have to sell your soul to get into. We've meddled in elections. We've worked with adult film stars. We've made Fortnite maps. We stole Tony Hawk's blood. We tased haters that were talking shit about our water. We sold, instead of buying a Super Bowl spot earlier this year, we sold the back of our boxes for $500,000 because we thought it was a bigger media buy. And this is a very tiny portion of the stuff we do. But the point is, we're making things that are always entertaining. And it's, when you look at it through that lens, there's so much more that we can be painting with as marketers and as creatives. So here's an ad we've made.
Look, it's a murderer!
It's a man!
No, it's
Murder Man!
Yes, it's Murder Man, the hero with murderous superhuman abilities. He was created to be the ultimate thirst-killing machine by an evil beverage corporation who wants to take over the world and recycle the human race.
What the are you talking about? Use your voice, thingy.
Can't I have employee health care?
But now, he's remembering his past.
Murder Man! Where do you come from?
He had a wife, kids, a white-collar job. He'd do anything to support his family, and they made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
How'd you like to work for me?
No.
Get him!
Transformed into a thirst-murdering machine. Now they want to reprogram him.
Where is my family?
I'm your family.
But catching him won't be easy. He blends into society, disguised as DMV employee Larry Wilson.
Hello? Let me look up your file.
Not again, Larry! And will you answer that damn phone already?
He's a normal guy who does normal things. But will he ever find his way back to his family? Or will the evil beverage corporation erase his memory for good? Find out on the adventures of Murder Man.
So that's an ad. It's actually not an ad. It's actually a trailer for a animated series that we're in the process of trying to get produced. Because we want to be the villain in an animated series, I guess. We're really lucky. We have one of our creatives is a guy named Will Carsola who created that, voiced a lot of it. He had a show on Adult Swim for 5 seasons called Mr. Pickles. If that's familiar to anyone, he's amazing. So yeah, in terms of make entertainment, not ads, not marketing, that's up there. Another worst practice is move fast, make things. I think this is super important. As I said in my time here, I've been there about 3.5 years. These are inexact numbers, but have launched around probably 70 campaigns in that time. That's like a full original idea. Let's build it. Let's make this fake product. Let's make this thing. Let's get it out. We've written hundreds and hundreds of emails. I'm a writer by trade, so I love writing emails, which is crazy for most people. We just make a huge, huge volume of work. And that's the way that we get to the good stuff. We are constantly testing things out live. It's really more akin, I've realized, to the way a stand-up comedian works, where you think about this. Stand-up is getting on stage every night, workshopping their stuff in front of a crowd. They're trying things out. They're finding which things make it, which things don't, which get a laugh. Even hearing your guys' reaction to the video, I'm like, oh, we should change that one thing, right? But by doing it live, by spending very little time doing stuff and instead throwing it out there and seeing how it gets a reaction, we learn how to make the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and we get smarter and better. I was I saw Bert Kreischer maybe like half a year ago at the Kia Forum, and he's one of the top grossing comedians in America. And in the middle of his set, he goes, "Hey guys, I want to try out some new material on you." And then took 15 minutes of set and did new material, workshopping to a crowd of like 30,000 people or whatever it was, right? So even the biggest people in the world understand that you have to test this stuff out. And instead, the way the marketing generally works is you spend months and months developing this huge integrated campaign that has to perform and has to do great. And you have all those eggs in that basket. And by the time you put it out in the world, you really haven't learned anything because you haven't been trying all these little experiments along the way. So we think more of ourselves kind of more like that stand-up doing work like that. Earlier this year, we launched an electrolyte drink mix called Death Dust, and we just like randomly threw it in a line there that was like, Death Dust is best when mixed with 16 to 19 ounces of water or tea. Please do not attempt to snort Death Dust. We'll often like throw little things like that in the captions just to see what happens, and then everyone's like, definitely gonna snort it, maybe smoke it too. Dude, I just got clean. Like that one. That feels real. Also, I just noticed, look at this icon. It looks like he didn't get clean. But so yeah, we're like, screw it. Let's throw something out there and see what happens. And so from that spawned a whole other piece of creative that was this.
That's gonna be so funny.
Hey, kids!
No way! Ozzy Osbourne?
Death Dust. Take it from me. Don't snort that stuff.
We weren't planning on snorting it.
Yeah, we're gonna mix it with water and hydrate.
It's got electrolytes, which your body needs.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Whatever you do, don't try freebasing it.
Free what?
And never, ever inject it.
And how would we even...
And don't even think about boofing it, you little perverts.
Boof?
You know, where you stick it up your...
Yeah. First ever applause for Boof. Really new territory here, guys. But again, yeah, all just kind of trying stuff out and seeing what happens, and then doubling down, trying more based on that, right? Um, Another thing is don't be confined to real reality. This is my trippy portion of the set. But what I mean by that is often advertisers and marketers are really they're working within the confines of our normal world. The reason the reason why I bring this up is because when I first a couple months after I joined, do you guys know Meow Wolf? Do you guys know what that is? Some people do. Yeah, they're awesome. And they have that experience in Vegas called Omega Mart. That's a fake grocery store full of all fake products on the shelves, right? It's like plausible deniability laundry detergent or vape flavored root beer flavored vape juice or something. Um, but when when I started, someone was like, Liquid Death is sold in Omega Mart, and it's the only real product that's in a store of all fake products. Um, and so I was like, I don't even know how to like what does that mean? So my theory was that Liquid Death is sort of it exists in a similar universe to ours that operates by some of the same rules, but not all the same rules. And that's what's kind of fun about it, Liquid Death, I think, because sometimes it feels like it's coming from a totally different universe in a way, and it's kind of poking into ours. And so we've done that with the work as well. It's why I don't know if you guys watch The Boys, but we're big fans of The Boys. Someone loves Chase, clearly. It's very dreamy. Um, But The Boys is a great show because if you haven't seen it, it's about superheroes, but it's like, what if superheroes really existed in our world, but they were just kind of like dicks? Because if they really existed, they would just use their powers to like for personal gain, kind of, right? And they would be owned by corporations. So it's kind of this thing where it's sort of a facsimile of our world. It operates in the same rules, but there's one little thing that's different. So we've worked with them in the past before. We previously hired this character is called the Deep. We hired him as our chief sustainability officer a couple years ago, and he made a video where he was burning plastic on a beach with children, and so we fired him. And then earlier this year, this year we hired him back. We gave him a second chance to help teach kids about the dangers of sugary sodas. But we actually launched the campaign by firing him again. It was a PR nightmare because he put out this video.
Oh, hi there. I'm the Deep. Today I'm here to educate America's beautiful youth about the dangers of too much sugar in soda. I get it. I too used to be brainwashed by soda until I found out that soda is basically just a bunch of sugar and water. Who knew? Here you go. Drink this. See? Who would give that to a child? That's why Liquid Death sent me here, because they have an entire line of flavored sparkling waters with just 20 calories, 4 grams of sugar from real agave. 4 grams is way less than whatever the hell this kid's drinking. Did you know that some studies show that overconsumption of sugary drinks can actually cause erectile dysfunction?
What's erectile dysfunction?
I honestly have no idea. So basically, sugar is the new smoking. If you're gonna drink a ton of sugar, you might as well smoke a ton of cigarettes too. You like sugar now? So drink Liquid Death flavored sparkling water. And enjoy all your childhood favorites without the extra sugar.
It smells like my stepdad in here.
The shot of a superhero smoking a cigarette while pitching non-sugary water is amazing to me. Yeah, another thing we do, like I said, I'm actually a writer. So we work out a lot of stuff in emails. We're just trying stuff out. This is one we launched for a product called the Flasket, which, if you're looking at it, is a casket-shaped flask. And we just imagine whole weird worlds. So the premise was, finally, you can drink straight from the casket. For centuries, the idea of drinking from a casket seemed like only a dream. In the late 18th century, Sir Killington von Murderberg invented a very long straw with a drill bit attached that allowed people to merely sip from caskets but not actually guzzle. That's why we're proud to announce that after years of R&D in our advanced coffin development team, we're launching the Flasket, which is a play on the combining the words flask and casket. An innovation this innovative will probably win a Nobel championship and sell out immediately. So get yours and stop dreaming. But some of the fun of us again is we're kind of bringing people along into these weird worlds, and inventing a new space. Um, Another worst practice is making small bets. I kind of talked about this before, but we don't put a lot of time into things. We don't put a lot of money into things because you never really know what's going to hit or what's not, right? Um, the public can be pretty capricious. And so what we want to do is if we can spend less time making stuff and less money making stuff, we can make a lot more of those things. And some of them will hit and we know some of them won't, right? And so, like I said, the way that marketing generally works is you're spending these huge timelines, huge budgets, bring on massive directors, huge productions to make this thing that you're going to build out for a whole season and be like, I really hope this works. And I've done campaigns like that where you put it out and as you get it in the edit and you're like, man, this is a stinker. And you're like, what are we gonna do? So when we launch stuff, we're launching something tomorrow that is a very small bet, but we're excited to get it out. And maybe it'll be great, and maybe it won't be, and we'll let people decide on that. But we haven't put all this effort and emotion and energy into things, right? A good example is we had this search we did for the hydration assistant scouting combine, which was a really fancy way of saying water boy. We're gonna find a water boy or girl, and so we worked on this. We spend a couple weeks working on this stuff. We put it out, and it comes out on the same day that Tom Brady announced he's coming back from retirement, and nobody saw it because no one cared that we were looking for a water boy when Tom Brady is coming back, right? Um, but that's okay. We move on to the next thing. We were like, okay, fine, we'll do the next one. Another great example, we put about the same amount of time and effort into this collaboration that we made with Elf, which I'll show you.
He's so dreamy. Whoa! Corpse paint? Cool! Corpse paint!
Murder your eyes, lips, and face like your favorite celebs. Corpse paint from Liquid Death and Elf. Each corpse paint coffin comes with 5 super cute styling pieces.
Wow, this pen is so precise, but the coverage is awesome too. It's just perfect.
Now you can look as dark on the outside as you are on the inside.
Super cute contouring, Addison. Love the look, Piper.
Thanks, Glothar.
Hey guys, who wants vegan goat's blood? Glothar?
Deborah?
Glothar, I haven't seen you in like 15 years.
Mom? Dad? Corpse paint!
Get yours while supplies last at elfcosmetics.com/corpse paint.
Yeah, and that was the same amount of effort, and instead of this thing that no one saw, we sold out of these corpse paint collectible kits in 45 minutes. That video got 12 million views in 24 hours. Some of the other videos, you can see there's reaction videos to that thing that got 2 million views on their own. It spawned this whole crazy thing that was an ecosystem that spun around on TikTok saying we're culturally appropriating goth culture. I got a death threat over this. It was crazy. And again, it was just the same amount of effort that we put into that other thing that nobody saw as into this thing that 12 million people saw in 24 hours. And now it has way more views than that. But the point is, you never know what's going to happen. So don't put all the eggs in one basket, right? Make small effort, small bets. And then, I also really believe that in the modern era, brand is dead. I think character is so important. And I think if brands start thinking about themselves as characters, you would see way more interesting things in the world. Characters are complex and nuanced and interesting, and we love characters, right? Characters can surprise us. The other great thing about characters is if you're in a writer's room writing for a character and there's a plot line that comes up, you know how to write for that character, right? Walter White gets evicted from his apartment or whatever it is. If you're a writer in that writer's room, you know exactly how that scene is going to play out because you're inside the mind of the character and you can do that. With Liquid Death, a lot of times we're bopping around and the ideas that we come up with are our first thought ideas because we're thinking of Liquid Death not as a brand but as a character that's interacting with the world. That elf thing, that was the first idea we came up with. We were like, elf, what would Liquid Death do with, how would we do something with makeup? And we're like, we would make corpse paint. That was literally the first idea we had, right? Which sounds crazy, but when you're thinking in the mind of a character, that's how you can think, right? Um, and so it goes from this thing that I think, like, as in marketing, a lot of times you're asking, like, what could we do? It's this very huge question. It's like, what is the thing we could do? And there's so many answers to that. And it flips it and turns into, like, this is the question that we ask ourselves a lot: is what would Liquid Death do? Right? That's the question we're always trying to answer. And I always tell partners that we're working with, brands that we're working with, I was like, we're just looking for one right answer. That's all we're trying to look for with this. And we're not trying to come up with 20 answers, 20 things and bring them all to you. Let's just come up with one answer and we're going to bring one thing back to you. And that's what we believe we should do because we are trying to figure out what Liquid Death would do because we think of it as a character. So if you think of a character, you can bounce off anything. A lot of people leave us nasty hate comments online, on Facebook in particular. Facebook is very mean. Um, someone wrote this on one of our ads, on one of our paid ads. As long as I live, I will do everything in my power to destroy your company's reputation. You're part of the problem humanity faces, and you will not succeed. Good will prevail over evil. What you're doing is destructive and wrong. You should blah, 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 right? You will not succeed. So we turned that into an ad. We're like, people love us on the internet, right? And we're thinking as this character, that becomes you're like, yeah, let's make that ad. That's funny. And we wrote up there, health and sustainability, two of the biggest evils facing humanity today, right? But we didn't stop there. We've actually created 3 whole albums. Sorry, that's grainy. But 3 whole albums called Greatest Hates that are all the lyrics are written entirely by internet trolls who have left us mean comments on various posts. We did a metal album. The middle one was a punk, and the last one we just came out with last year was an 80s dance pop album. And so here's just a lyric. Here's like the logo or the chorus from one of the songs. That's a single. And I don't know if anyone's a Sugar Ray fan, but that's Mark McGrath singing that, which is a personal coup of mine that Mark McGrath sang that song. But really the biggest worst practice I would say is having fun. It is such it's a value that is so undervalued in marketing. I know for the students who are here, what you're doing is really fun and you hold on to that because anyone who is not a student here has been through this can attest that gets beaten out of you every single day, right? But if we have fun, if we can bring fun into what we do, and if we all agree that that is something that we all want more of in the world, how much better would everything be, right? We heard from Denise, building this wonderful space, inviting people in. If we can build these places where people are having fun and connecting, that is so powerful. I always say comedy is the oldest technology we have because in order for comedy to exist, 2 people have to look at the same thing and agree that that's true, right? Comedy can't exist with 2 people thinking different things. So when we can make a joke with someone, it's because the person who told the joke and the person receiving it are connecting and having a moment and they're seeing that thing together at the same time. So if we have fun, we're inviting other people in to have fun with us. My favorite thing that I hear from people is, man, it looks like you guys are having so much fun. And that's more than anything else that I hear from people. That's what I love to hear because it means it's coming through. It means that we're building something that feels like the people behind it are genuinely having fun. Um, one dumb example of that is a banana sold for a lot of money recently. Um, and so the day after that, we were just having lunch, and we were like, "Yeah, we should sell a can for like $5 million, see what would happen." So I went out and bought some duct tape. We took a picture. This took all of like an hour's time, and we this is you can look at it. It's really in our merch store right now for $5.2 million. You can buy a can of Liquid Death. Other brands kind of did versions of this, but we're the only one who's actually selling it through our merch store. Um, and again, super simple, dumb idea. We have reviews on our site. Over the weekend, I just was like, wonder what's going on with that thing. And I went back, and people have written all kinds of amazing reviews for this. Um, Tax write off for buying art. I like someone, is it on here? Someone gave a 4-star review. Um, but the point is, when you're having fun, people will have fun back at you. And that's such a powerful thing that I think that a lot of marketers forget. Have fun and the fun will come back. It's so cool for me to see stuff like that because people are coming back at us and we're building this community of people that are doing that kind of thing. So, um, this is a guy named David Littlejohn. He has a small agency in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that my wife and I worked at for a bit. Our founder, Mike Cesario, also worked there a little bit. And David I remember going there, and David had this thing that he would say. He's like, his philosophy was that, and this is going to sound really stupid when I say it out loud, is that our time on the earth is finite and we should spend it doing things that we like doing. And I know that sounds really dumb saying it out loud and really obvious, but I think we lose sight of that a lot. And he built this agency that he called Humanot based on that. And they do all kinds of amazing work for organic brands they believe in, and they're doing the work they want to do. And I think if we hold on to that idea that we can do stuff that we want to do, you'll find fulfillment, will make the world better. This is getting really big and audacious at the end, so I apologize, but I really believe it. It was really mind-blowing at the time, and I think we have to kind of hold on to that really optimistic thinking in the sense that we all have agency in the stuff that we make every single day, and the time we spend doing stuff. We have agency in that. We don't have to keep going along with the same working for the same brands and companies that we always want to do. We have to chart our own path a little bit and put something out that we genuinely care about. Because I think this is really the overarching thesis of all of Liquid Death. This is not written anywhere, so this is not official, so don't quote me on this. But I really think the overarching idea of Liquid Death is there's a better way to do everything. You just haven't bothered to think of it yet. And if you think back to all the stuff we've been doing, think back to the way that bottled water had been promoted before, had been put in plastic bottles, the way that healthy foods had been marketed. There's a better way to do that stuff. No one had bothered to actually just say, like, what if we didn't put this in a plastic bottle for once? Um, and that kind of really stupid idea will lead to stuff like this, right? That kind of really dumb thinking leads to a company and a brand like Liquid Death. And, a company that we are enjoyed by people and animals worldwide. We're the fastest a growing non-alcoholic brand in the world of all time. We're now in over 110,000 stores worldwide. Again, just in 5 years' time, based on this one stupid idea called Liquid Death. This is my favorite stat, though, is that we have over 300 people who have gotten Liquid Death tattoos on their body permanently for a water brand. It's so cool. I love that. It means we're connecting. We're doing something that's meaningful with a brand of healthy beverages, which is really crazy. Remember, I said at the beginning, we would get on calls and people would tell us to our face, they'd be like, no one's ever going to drink water out of a can ever, right? After I had been working at Liquid Death for a couple months, we had some success. We did this thing with Martha Stewart where she's chopping off hands and making candles with them. We got some big wins. And we would get on calls and suddenly all those comments flipped and people would go from no one will ever drink water out of cans to, man, water in cans. It's such an obvious idea. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Right? Which is amazing that people were like, That's so obvious. After for years we've been told it was such a stupid idea. And so the parting thought I want to leave it you guys with is everything is stupid until it isn't. And embrace that, because get in there, muck around with stuff that feels too dumb to exist, because there's gold in there and there's things that no one has bothered to think of that are in there, and they will sound really stupid for a very long time to a lot of people until one day they don't. And that's what Liquid Death is all about. So thank you guys for staying here late. It is quite late. So thank you.